Okay, let's dive into this. For 28 days now, we've been breaking down concepts, exploring totally new horizons together. But, consuming all this knowledge, it literally means nothing if it just sits up there in your head. So today's explainer, well, it's basically the ultimate intervention. We are taking all that theory and we're translating it into action. Tomorrow Pela Kadam, Aj Shurakaro. Today is all about your very first step. Let's get into it.
I'm going to be completely serious with you right now. अगर try nahi karna, तो अभी इस presentation को बंद कर दो. Literally, just close it. If nothing has sparked inside you over these last few weeks, no new idea, no skill, absolutely zero desire to try something new, then honestly you should close this explainer right now and just go rest. But if there is even one tiny thing, just one idea you haven't really told anyone about yet, where you catch yourself thinking, man, I wish I could do that, then stay. Because if you stay here with us, you're making an emotional commitment right now that you are going to take action.
All right, so you stayed. That's fantastic. But look, I know exactly what's going on in your head right now. Right before you start something new, these paralyzing nighttime fears pop up, right? Char bide dar, and they're designed entirely to just stop you in your tracks. So today, we're going to drag these 4 big fears right out into the light. Because here's the secret. When you clearly identify and name a fear, you instantly strip away its power.
Okay, fear number 1. Kahan se shuru karu? Where do I even start? Let's look at a real-world example from our source material. Take Mira. Mira was working in a BPO, a call center, but she desperately, and I mean desperately, wanted to transition into content writing. She had the drive, for sure, but she was completely paralyzed by this exact fear. She looked at this massive world of content writing and felt completely lost. She's thinking, I don't even know where the starting line is.
And this right here perfectly illustrates how much we overcomplicate things. Do you want to know what Mira actually did? It's the ultimate entry point. She didn't go out and buy some ridiculously expensive course. She didn't enroll in a university. She literally just went on YouTube and typed, "How to learn content writing." That's it. The very first result was a free playlist. She clicked it. The first video was, 12 minutes long? And she watched those 12 minutes. Boom, done. That was her start. The crucial takeaway here is that this idea of a perfect entry point, total myth. You don't need some grand master plan. Your entry point is literally just opening a single tab, reading one article, or watching one short video.
But of course, once you conquer that first hurdle, another one immediately pops up to take its place. Waqt ki asliyat. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it forces us to look in the mirror. It forces us to face the frankly uncomfortable reality of how we actually spend our days.
So here's fear number 2. Mera time nahi hai. I just don't have time. And hey, I know this feels incredibly real. Our lives are insanely busy. But I'm going to challenge this excuse with a really direct question for you. What did you do today that was solely for yourself? And no, eating meals doesn't count. That's just basic human survival. I mean an activity, a specific task, or even just 1 hour that was completely dedicated to your own personal growth. If your answer is nothing, well, then you don't actually have a time problem. You have a priority problem. Blaming the clock is just a defense mechanism. The brutal truth? We all have fragments of time throughout the day. Taking that time for ourselves just requires giving ourselves permission. And honestly, giving yourself permission to prioritize your own growth, that's often the absolute hardest hurdle to jump.
Let's break down the undeniable math of making this happen, because it is so much more manageable than you think. You don't need to, quit your job or abandon your family to learn a new skill. The super practical answer is dedicating just 30 minutes a day. Just 30. 30 minutes of direct, focused, hands-on work with your chosen skill. And if you do that for 30 days straight, do you know what that equals? Exactly 15 hours.
Now, why is that number, 15 hours, so incredibly important? Because the data and the actual results presented in our source material show that 15 hours is genuinely enough time for anyone, literally anyone, to get past the absolute beginner stage in a new skill. And I'm not quoting some abstract, boring academic research here. This is based on real-world outcomes. In 15 concentrated hours, you go from knowing absolutely nothing to having a solid, functional grasp of a skill. You just have to carve out those 30 little minutes.
Which brings us to fear number 3. And man, this one is incredibly sneaky. Kya log kya sochenge? What will people think? The thing is, it rarely shows its face directly, right? Instead, it hides. It hides behind excuses like, oh, I don't have the proper qualifications yet, or if I post this, people are going to think I'm overconfident, or the classic, what if I completely fail and everyone sees? It's just textbook imposter syndrome, totally disguised as practical caution.
So let's look at 2 different mindsets here. On one side, you have this endless waiting game, waiting for a certificate or some external authority figure to finally give you permission to start. And then, on the other side, you have people who just take a step. Our source text highlights some real people from this very community. Priya, who just started writing content. Kirti, who just opened up Canva and started designing stuff. Farah, who just took over managing a social media handle. Do you think anybody handed them a fancy certificate saying, "Congratulations, you are now allowed to begin"? No way! They were completely terrified of what people would think too, but they just took a step anyway, without asking for anyone's permission.
And by doing that, they discover this incredibly freeing punchline. Log itna nahi sochte, jitna hum sochte hain. People simply don't think about us as much as we think they do. It's the honest truth. Everyone is just way too exhausted, too stressed out, and too completely consumed by the sheer busyness of their own lives to sit around obsessing over your early, imperfect attempts at learning something new. Let that truth sink in for a second. It is incredibly, incredibly liberating. All right, finally, we reach the fourth fear. Kya main genuinely kar sakti hoon? Can I genuinely do this? And you know what? This is probably the most honest, most vulnerable fear of the whole bunch. And the absolute most honest answer you are going to find in this explainer today is, well, I don't know. Nobody does. Nobody knows your specific talent, your hidden grit, your capacity for consistency, or the unique nuances of your life without actually seeing you try.
So here's the crucial takeaway. Trying is literally the only real assessment. There's no magical, wizard-like mentor who can stare deeply into your eyes and confirm your hidden potential. There's no online quiz that's going to guarantee your success. You simply have to try. And yes, you absolutely have to fully accept the very real possibility of failure. But here's the secret about failing. It's not the end of the world. It simply eliminates one wrong direction so you can pivot and try another one. That is the exact process every single successful person follows, period.
Okay, so we've totally dismantled these fears. What happens next? How do we transition from just sitting around analyzing our fears to actually, doing something about them? Well, our source material provides this brilliant micro-action resolution, a 7 din ka challenge. It's a foolproof, absolutely zero-excuse 7-day framework. And it's designed for anyone who just wants a simple, doable way to start without feeling completely overwhelmed.
Now, I want you to lock this roadmap into your memory right now. Day 1, decide. Pick that one skill you've been eyeing and write its name down today. Day 2, find a free resource. I'm talking no paid courses, just one YouTube tutorial or one article. Day 3, practice. Get your hands dirty. Write a 300-word paragraph or design just one simple Canva graphic. Just do it. Day 4, get feedback. Show it to a trusted friend or post it anonymously in a Facebook group and ask for honest thoughts. Day 5, improve. Take that feedback and fix just one specific thing. Day 6, identify an opportunity. Find a local business or an online platform that actually needs this skill and don't even pitch them yet, just find them. And finally, day 7, send one cold message. Just a short, simple note saying, "Hey, I'm learning this skill. Can I create a free sample for you?" That's it.
Now, let's just manage our expectations for a second. Completing this 7-day process, it does not guarantee that you are going to land some massive, high-paying client by day 8. But it does guarantee something much, much more valuable. It guarantees that you will completely break the cycle of being a paralysis overthinker. By the end of this week, you will have transformed your core identity from someone who merely thinks about doing things into someone who actually gets out there and does them. Ek chota start. It's one small start, but believe me, it changes everything.
So, here is my final challenge to you as we wrap up this explainer. What skill are you going to tackle using this 7-day framework? I really want you to publicly commit to it in the comments below today, right now. Type the actual name of the skill out, because the very second you write it down and put it out there into the world, it stops being this little fantasy in your head and it becomes real. So make that commitment now, save this framework, and get ready, because we still have the final 2 unforgettable sessions of this journey ahead of us. You've spent 28 days preparing for this. Today, you take your first step. So,